This is the Action Movie Guys podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now, your hosts of the Action Movie Guys podcast, Alex and Nate.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 258 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate. This is my co-host,
Alex Figueroa.
And on this episode, we're going to be taking a little trip back to a year called 2008 and a movie called Get Smart. Now, Alex, I saw this at the theater, and I think I might have seen it once or twice since then, but what was your experience with this movie? When did you see it? When was the last time you watched it?
I never got to see this in the theater. I pretty much saw this on a rental. At the time, oh my God, it had to be like a video store rental or something. Yeah, I didn't buy this or anything like that. So that's the only time I watched it. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I had this on my Vudu account, so at some point, I either bought this digitally or had a Blu-ray with a code and got rid of the Blu-ray. I don't know. I don't have a disc. I looked everywhere. I thought I had it, but I had it digitally. But I have not watched this since maybe 2000. I feel like I remember the last time I saw this. It was in my cousin's house, and I want to say it was like 2012, maybe like 2011. Like, it's been like 10 years since I've watched it. So was interested to do the rewatch. It's an action comedy, but in the spy world. So, it fits our spy month. Let's get into it before we give our scores. Let's just give you some Rotten Tomato scores. I mean, we're going to throw them out anyway, but let's just see what people, critics, and audiences think. Not great. A critic score of 51%. So not very high, not the lowest, but right in the middle. And then an audience score of 67%.
Yeah, see, it's weird. Like, watching the movie now, I can see why the critics is where they are at.
Yeah.
But the audience to me is very interesting because it's at 66 and it goes in line with the box office because the budget was 80 million and it made a worldwide of 230. That's a success.
Yeah. And this was around that time of like the Pink Panther and all these movies where they were taking these old TV shows and like making them into modern movies. So this was clearly, as far as, financially, made money. I think I did read somewhere too that they were going to do a sequel and it just never happened. It can't happen now. I don't want it now. But
he's mad.
It's 15 years later. But it could have worked. Clearly, it made money. So, but was this movie actually good? Well, we're going to tell you right now. Alex, you get to go first. You get to talk about our lead character. He is played by someone I do love. I love Steve Carell. And he's playing Maxwell Smart, control agent, analyst turned field agent. What did you think?
I remember the TV show Get Smart as a kid, but I never got into it as much because, again, I was mad young. Maybe now, but I didn't even know this movie was created by Mel Brooks until watching this movie. It's a character created by, and I was like, oh, wow, interesting. So, with that said, did this fit the mold of the TV show? I can't give you that. But what I could give you is that the character portrayal worked. And I would say, yes, it did. Is it over the top? Steve Martin was over the top in the Pink Panther. There's nothing you can do with those type of comedies, right? But did it work? And I'm like, yes, it did. And I liked him. I thought he was really good. He had emotions at times, right? It was very sentimental feelings there. Then it's just some comedy and then stupid comedy where, again, you can't, the stupid comedy, which is slapstick comedy, take it or leave it. If it if it's outdated, it's outdated. There's nothing you can do. That's the whole point of comedy. There's always going to be an outdated. Like when you watch Dumb and Dumber now, is it going to be outdated? Absolutely it is. The jokes are going to be outdated. But if you still like it and you love it, great. This one, I think everything landed because it's been a while since I seen it. It's the other parts that you just head scratch, like why? But it is what it is. I liked him. I thought he was great. Now, Agent 99, which is Anne Hathaway, gorgeous. I think she was great too. I thought she was fun. I think the entire group of people in this film worked well together. I thought they were all great. I thought they were funny. Terry Crew and the other guy from Anchorman was
David Koechner.
Yeah, he did. Those dudes are funny.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson was actually really good as Agent 23. So for me, if you ask me, lead character, what would I give him? I'm going to give him a 5 because he's actually a really good lead for this movie.
Okay, fair. I gave him a 4. And the only reason is like the character, I think Steve Carell was great. I agree with you. I think his portrayal was great. I love Steve Carell. I'm a huge fan of The Office. I love him from that. As far as movies, I like a good amount of his movies. I like him in movies. I think he's a good actor and he's very likable. The only reason I gave this a 4 is I feel like they wanted to kind of have their cake and eat it too with the character. And what I mean by that is one moment he's a total idiot, and then one moment he's like a great agent. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, there's the part where he's talking with Agent 99. He's like, you know, I got a higher score than you on our field test or whatever by 8 points, you know? And so he's apparently super smart. He's a great analyst, all this stuff. But then he's like kind of a doofus as well. You know what I mean? And does a lot of goofy, the scene it's funny. Don't get me wrong. It's funny. Like the scene in the airplane bathroom where he's trying to shoot the little dart at the handcuffs and keeps like bouncing all around. That scene made me laugh. The scene too, the part that makes me laugh the most every time is when he goes to do the blow dart and he's like, I gotta give this one some extra. And he breathes in and he
puts himself out.
Oh my God, I laughed.
Yeah.
I remember laughing the first time I saw it, the second time I saw it, and this time I laughed again. But it's stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, you're highly trained. You in the paintball thing, he shoots, he's super accurate. But then he's also like a Mr. Magoo. So I don't know. The balance, it was too much in the middle. I feel like if they would have leaned more one way and then just made the other one extra, I would have liked it a little better. Even still, I love Carell. It worked for me. I still gave him a 4. So I did like him. Okay, so main villain. Now, main villain is played by Terrence Stamp. He's the main bad guy. Zod, if you remember from Superman 2, he's the leader of Chaos. That's the name of the other, like the anti-CIA. What did you think?
I gave him a 2. Again, he was not formidable. I guess I don't know if that's the right word to use, but he's not good. Like, he doesn't come across, he never in this movie come even once close to Agent 99 and Steve Carell's character. They never even come face to face. They never fight. His plot, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's a generic, stupid plot that I literally lost train of thought what it was like halfway into the movie because I'm laughing at this guy's stupidity. I kind of forgot what the movie was about, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's about a nuclear warhead in LA, and once they play a song, it goes off. But other than that, okay, great. Like, he's just not as good, to be honest with you. So I'm going to give him a 2 because he was Zod. Other than that,
I give him a 2 because he was in Superman 2. I don't know. Maybe you read my notes. I gave him a 2 as well. I'm like, man, and he's such a good actor. Like, I like Terrence Stamp.
Yeah, he
What
is.
a waste. What a waste of a good actor. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I don't really have much to add. He's an old guy. He's an old man. He doesn't do anything. Yeah, Great Khali. I don't know his real name. I just know him from WWE. Great Khali. He's like the muscle. He's the henchman. He's the odd job. He's the Jaws of this movie. And he's more scary and formidable. And then you have, of course, Agent 23, played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who ends up being a double agent. And he's like, you know, infiltrated. They accuse Steve Carell of being the double agent, but it's actually The Rock. And he has a turn late, which was okay. It was fine. You know, like he got way more charisma. He would have been a better villain if he was just a villain for longer. Yeah. But no, he's like a good guy. He's mad that the Agent 99 broke up with him, and then he turns bad and whatever. Like, I agree. It was a 2. This is not the strong suit of the movie, any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I gave it a 2. Okay, action. Just be honest. Go with your heart.
I gave it a 3. I was going to go with 4 because it actually has some good scenes. I'm not going to lie. But then it just became like I was going with the 4. But then with the scene with the Great Khali, when he was on the thing, I had to drop it because I was like, that's not a good scene. He goes, wait a minute, I know that voice. And he's like, Khala Salamala. And I was like, what the hell? Yeah, scene is not good. It's not good. But what makes it up is the chase in the car. I think that was shot very well. The plane scene was actually really good. And them infiltrating Control, and he puts the whole thing. I thought that was pretty cool. But again, it's not as much action that you think it is for an action comedy spy type movie. So it's not. Maybe even them trying to, when they doing the lasers thing, maybe you can say that's action, but that is really not. You got a dance number, which it is what it is. I gave it a 3. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's great, and I don't think it's perfect. Not memorable either.
I'm right there with you, man. I gave it a 3. I will say this had more action than I remember it having. Yeah. So I was like, I was on the seesaw as well. But at the end of the day, when I really looked at the whole overall action, it was all very generically shot. Like, nothing is it. It's good action for a comedy, right? But it's not like great action of an action movie, if that makes sense. For a comedy, it has solid action. I do like the chase at the end where, when he's on the sign. But again, that's the other thing. A lot of the action's like is played for laughs too. Like there's a lot of comedy within the action scene.
Yeah.
So none of it's played like super duper straight, but still entertaining. I thought the action scenes were fun. They added, they had some life to them. They weren't poorly shot. They just weren't expertly shot either. They were pretty standard, but fun enough. I gave it a 3 as well. I really, as far as the action scenes go, I gave it a 3. I think the chase scene at the end is probably the best. Other than that, like there's not a lot of like fight scenes, or anything like that, or crazy shootouts. A little bit, but not a lot. There's like the paintball scene has a lot of action in it. When The Rock and Terry Crews, when they get into like a little hand-to-hand during a paintball training session and all that. That was pretty funny, but yeah, I gave it a 3 as well. I think it's fine. I think it's fine for what it is, for this like kind of movie. Okay, storyline.
All right. I give it another 3. It's good, not memorable. Like I said, you really could give 2 craps of what happens in the movie because you're really there to see Anne Hathaway and Steve Carell do what they got to do. It's and it's sad to say because like I thought you're really invested with the characters because you see their relationship blossom in front of you and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And you go through the roller coasters of emotions. But to me, the whole bomb thing, I think is kind of weak. Generic type story. I think it should have been more, if they were going to go down this route, they should have did more like a virus thing or something more to feel like you're watching a spy movie. Like it was just a generic, oh, we're going to have nuclear this and this guy turns on them. So it was like kind of a basic generic spy movie. And honestly, I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great, to be honest with you. So I gave it a 3.
Man, we're right there again. I also gave it a 3. This is a very like A to B to C story. There's nothing flashy about it. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. None of them are terrible. As far as the script and the comedy goes, there's some funny parts. And there's some parts that are supposed to be funny that I didn't laugh at. It's just, that's the way of comedy, especially a 2008 PG-13 action comedy based on an old TV show. You know what I mean? Like there's limits, but I'll talk more about some of my favorite funny scenes when I get to overall, but I agree. I thought the storyline was whatever. You have this agency, Control, it's a dumb name. You have the other agency, which is Chaos, which I guess is a better name, but also dumb. It's a very basic MacGuffin storyline. I talked about that before. There's this thing that they have to get, and that's pretty much it. It's a nuclear, the warhead thing, and the football, the little briefcase where the detonator and all that. Very basic. This was like spy movie 101. And then they just added in jokes. Yeah. Pretty much. But it's not horrible. So I'm not going to go 2. I gave it a 3 as well. So yeah, you gave it a 3. I gave it a 3. We're on the same page. I feel maybe a similar score coming up for overall.
Overall is a 3. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was still funny. I laughed a lot throughout the movie. I thought there was a lot of funny parts in the movie. Like I said, there's certain scenes that I like. Like I said, the scene that you said that he swallowed the sleeping thing. I thought that was funny. I thought the other part that was funny too, when Anne Hathaway, they think that he's the bad guy and he's bringing her bread and flowers, right? Yeah. And he was like, oh, and then gives the phone. He goes, is this you? And then he says the bad guy's name. And then the smoke, he goes, I must tell you, 1899, I have trained to smell this. And then he goes, this is a new version. And he just passes out. Yeah. I thought that was mad funny. I laughed at that a lot. Him and The Rock had great chemistry. They were actually really funny together. Yeah. I liked when they were playing paintball and the guy called him something and he shoots him in the dick. Yeah. He was like, oh. He was like,
he feels bad about it afterward.
Yeah, he goes, I shouldn't have did that. Yeah, there's a lot of funny moments in this movie. I think the dance number, like I said, with him and the fat chick and Anne Hathaway and the other guy, I thought that was funny. I thought that still held up. I thought it was pretty good. The scene with the lasers was really funny too. So again, is this a movie for me to say, is it, you could own it, whether it comes out on a higher definition or whatever? I say, yeah, I can't see. I mean, I doubt it's ever going to get a 4K. But if they come out with a new Blu-ray, like a newer anniversary of the movie release, I can say, yeah, I can see myself buying it. I don't own it, to be honest. I had to rent it, and it was sucked, dude, because for some reason, it was off sync. Oh, so I had to watch the whole movie with them yapping, and then the audio comes in right after. So I was getting a headache at the same time watching
with
the
your
movie.
eyes closed. Just
pretty much.
Explosions.
Yeah, so other than that, I think all the comedic notes were hit at the right time, and I thought it held up for me, so I gave it a 3. I thought it was good.
Again, yeah, I figured we're on the same page. I gave it a 3. I remembered when it was over, I remembered why I didn't have the disc. And I'm pretty sure I bought this movie, put a digital, and then like got rid of the disc and traded it in or sold it. Because I don't mind owning. It's one of those movies where it's like, I call this a lazy Sunday movie. You're home. It could be on. You might have it. You can let it play. I think it used to come on like TNT a lot at night. You know what I mean? You can watch it. It's fine. It's harmless. It's just not exceptional. You know what I mean? It's funny, but it's not hilarious. There's action, but it's not super exciting. It's just in the middle. Now, what I will say is this has an amazing cast because you got Steve Carell, Anne Hathaway, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Alan Arkin, who I love all the time. I always love Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
David Koechner, Terry Crews, the little Asian guy from Heroes, Terrence Stamp. You know, like you got a really good bunch of actors in this. Who?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray in the tree. I love that part. That part's funny too. Yeah. He's like, I'll come back later. He's like, when are you going to come back? Like, how long? When do you think you're going to? That scene's funny. As far as the jokes, yeah, my favorite scenes, the airplane scene cracks me up with the dart when it goes through his ear and it goes through his nose and it goes through, like, I don't know. It makes me laugh every time. The blow dart, probably the biggest laugh for me is that part because he's just like describing it. He's like, gotta give this one something extra. And he breathes it in and it just makes me laugh every time. Also, the two other scenes that made me laugh the most, one's a little throwaway line. It's towards the end. It's when, and James Caan is in this. He's the president. When Alan Arkin and James Caan are walking and he keeps saying nuclear, and then Alan Arkin's like, it's nuclear. And then James Caan is like, what? And he's like, nothing. He just like changes the subject. Hilarious. And the other part that makes me laugh the most is the cone of silence. Anytime with the cone of silence.
Yes.
Like when they're all in it separate and they can't hear each other and the guy starts freaking out and then Steve Carell's head is getting big. It's getting little. That part. And then when it doesn't work and he's like, this is the greatest day of my life. And there's no cone of silence. I love both of those scenes. So I do laugh. I think the movie I think you're right. I think it's solid. Do you have to rush out and buy it? No. If it came out on 4K disc, would I buy it? No. I'm perfectly fine with this digital. It's there if I ever want to pop it on. It's breezy entertainment. You know what I mean? Like it's a 3. It's fun.
Remember when he hits his chief with the fire extinguisher?
Oh yeah.
And then he goes, "We got the guy," and he's just like,
"Is that a dent in his head?"
Yeah. He's like, "What happened?" He was like, "Chief, I think you slipped and fell." Like I thought that was mad.
And then
funny.
You got Patrick Warburton as the end as Jaime, the robot. He's like the robot guy.
Yeah.
I just like his name is Jaime. That's funny. So okay, what is your total points?
It's a 16 out of a 25. Yeah,
I have a 15.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it still holds up, but I lean more towards the audience on this one. On the balance scale, I think I would go with the 66% on that one.
Yeah, it's fine. 15 out of 25 for me as well. That works out to be pretty much like a 6 out of 10. So it's like, it's fine. Yeah. It's good. I don't hate it. It's not great, but I like the cast. It's full of people I like watching act, and they're all funny. And like even The Rock, this was a good, solid like comedic role for him. He doesn't overdo it. He doesn't overplay anything. He was still younger. He wasn't as jacked as he is now. Yeah, but he's funny. You know, he's suave. He's like the best agent. Catches the little fly and throws it.
That was funny.
All that is great. So 16 for you, 15 for me. Overall, a decent action comedy if you want to watch one.
Yeah, it's a very up there with Naked Gun. Like if you really look at that whole like comedy action, I still think, I don't know if we're going to do it on the podcast maybe, but to me I still think Naked Gun is the big one out of that type of slapstick comedy. Oh yeah. I just think it's still so stupid and funny.
That's like top tier of this sort of movie.
Yeah, this style of film.
Yeah.
Like a reboot of a TV show. So, yeah. Leslie Nielsen is still funny, though.
Oh, he's hilarious. The thing with the Naked Gun movies is those are like a joke a second. Every single thing that happens is a joke. Whereas there's a lot of scenes that are regular. And then there's jokes in between. So, okay. So yeah, with that being said, we got a couple more spy movies coming up to round out the month. And this is going to be a treat. Next week, we're going double Bond because not only will we be doing Thunderball, the next in the Sean Connery series, but we will also be doing that weird redheaded stepchild of the Bond franchise, George Lazenby, in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So get that out the way. Yeah, I was like, hey, look, spy month. Where else does this fit? Let's do a double Bond. So that will wrap up our May espionage, spy month, whatever you want to call it, Thunderball, and On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I will say this. In terms of on her Majesty's Secret Service, I think you're gonna like that one. I think you might even give both. I'm gonna put it right now. I'm gonna write a note. Thunderbolt and On Her Majesty's Secret Service are gonna be in your 20s. You're gonna give it. I don't think one of those are gonna be even below 20. Now, I will say that right now. Both is gonna be higher than 20.
I'm an honest scorer. If it's good, I rate it good.
I have a feeling you're gonna like Her Majesty. I think you're gonna. I'm telling you, it's not even gonna go down by below 20s. I think yours is going to be higher than, it could be 21, 22, around there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to both. Honestly.
I have a feeling. And No Time to Die pretty much is a mirror of Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I like that.
I would say that. All right, guys, you guys want to follow us on our social media accounts, please follow Nate over on Instagram at Netflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything action movie, guys, head over to youtube.com/Geeks and Flicks for the video version of the podcast, or at Instagram at Action Movie Guys Podcast. Other than that, he is your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.